Okay, welcome to Buckinghamshire Business First Talking Heads. We're really excited today to talk to someone in the Buckinghamshire area about some really interesting topics, mostly around the subject of continuous improvement. I'm Victoria Brocklesby. I'm part of the Buckinghamshire Business First board and got involved reasonably recently in all of that. I've been there for almost a year and thoroughly enjoy the opportunity and experience to be a little bit more hands-on and involved with BBF. My background is in manufacturing. We design and manufacture aluminium doors and windows. The company that I'm part of is Origin. We started it 21 years ago. My cousin Neil and I got together and we really threw ourselves into something that we didn't know a great deal about. But over the last 21 years, we have learned a lot. And part of that process has been due to the continuous improvement and learning from our mistakes. I'm really excited today to welcome Kris from Bradbury Tracks, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what he does, what his background is, and how continuous improvement has helped him and his business develop, and how that could help others in the manufacturing, or not even just manufacturing area, but all over different types of businesses. So welcome, Kris. It's really lovely to have you.
Thank you very much. And that's very true what you just said, actually. It's really lean and continuous improvement has always been manufacturing. It's always been seen as manufacturing, where now we are, branching out that lean manufacturing to just lean across all industries, which is quite interesting.
It's really important, isn't it, for us to remember that it isn't just, I think manufacturing is a nice tangible subject to really work with continuous improvement, because you can record all that great data, but that mentality of continuous improvement is quite difficult, isn't it? How do you keep the discipline up within what you do, and what are some of the techniques that you've used within your area?
Well, I think the way we sort of treat it is very bottom up. It's got to be embraced by the people right at the very bottom of the organisation all the way up. To encourage it, there's a few things we sort of try and breed as much as possible. Trust is one of them. Trust and autonomy. To leave them to it, so they're not micromanaged, and it's their process, their thing. Trying to create a blameless culture as well is very important, because of course if you're entrusting someone to improve their process, then it becomes very difficult to do that if you jump on them as soon as they make a mistake. The way we do it, and I know you're in manufacture as well, Victoria, so it might be, but we do something called 2-second lean. Don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I haven't had 2 seconds. I know a little bit about, I know quite a lot about lean, but 2-second lean's a new one. So yeah, I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, it's basically what we actually do in our place. It was created by a guy called Paul Akers in America, who's got a book about it called 2-second lean. And what it encourages is that everyone in the business makes one improvement every day that improves their process by 2 seconds. So it's sort of marginal gains every single day, which sounds difficult, but it's the fact that it's very small. And we give people time to do it as well. So every hour of the first hour of our day is 3Sing, sweep, sort, and standardizing your work area. And then 40 minutes of coming up with an improvement. So we're allowing people time.
Do you actually build that into your working day?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a fantastic way of doing it. How do you find that your people respond to that, and giving them that time and autonomy to actually go and work on those things?
It is an intrinsic motivation that you can't believe. It's a pride in their work. There's a video we've got online, which is probably one of the proudest moments of my leadership career. Is one of we had a factory tour, and someone came in and asked Alberto, who's one of our assemblers, what lean meant to him, and he spoke for about 8 minutes about how he had pride in his work, autonomy, trust. He feels part of the process, part of the company. You think, wow, okay, that's something very, very important. So yeah, you hand that autonomy and the process to the person, and they can really embrace it and surprise you.
Absolutely. And have you had to do much with new people joining the business? Do you find it's an easy sort of culture to get into, or do you have to do a lot of training around that continuous improvement piece, and I suppose allowing them to have autonomy? For some people, that's quite a scary place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's continuous improvement has to be part of, well, first of all, it has to be part of your core values, I believe. You know, if it's got to be intrinsic to your company, and then you use that to recruit. And what we find we do is we try and put people off. we shove our culture down people's throats when they come for interviews, so that either they go, oh my god, this is fantastic, I want to be a part of it, or this is so scary, I'm out of here. So yeah. You know, and both of those is absolutely fine. I think one of the problems with the interviews and the culture of interviewing, etc., is it tends to be one person saying, are you right for this company? And the other person going, please let me be right for your company. Where the truth is, there's a place for everyone. And if it's not the right fit, you shouldn't be taking someone or taking a job. You should be, you know, we've had people say, actually, you know, offered them the job and they've said, actually, no, this isn't for me, which is perfect. You know, it's brilliant.
That's what you want, don't you? You know, there's no point people joining a business and then not fitting in with the culture.
Totally.
And it just wastes everybody's time. So that's a great piece, and I love that sort of analogy of shoving the culture down someone's
yeah. Our job adverts are ridiculous. I mean, people read them and go, you know, first of all, they're quirky. We are very quirky. I mean, you know, but the second thing is like, well, who would go for that job? It's like, exactly.
Absolutely. It's a great one, actually.
How do you find lean and sort of the educational piece around it?
You know, so just to give a little bit of background just to listeners here, but our manufacturing is of bespoke aluminium doors and windows. And we were chatting before this podcast, Kris, and saying the synergy between what we do and obviously the tracks that you make as well. And we probably come up against a lot of the same issues and problems and problem solving. But we're a little bit like you're saying, the culture of the business is absolutely key to making sure people accept that process of continuous improvement. Because you mentioned the word blame earlier, and I think that is such a key part of people recognizing this is not about blaming, it's about everyone recognizing the opportunity to improve and kind of grabbing onto that and being really enthusiastic about saying, okay, I've got that wrong, or that person got that wrong, but that's fine, we all make mistakes, totally human. But let's grab it and try and think of a way to make sure we don't make that mistake again. And once you get that in a culture, it's actually so, I don't know what you find, Kris, but we've just found as people join Origin, even if it's not necessarily an environment they've come from before, they get swept up in it, and actually it becomes a really positive place to be and to work and to own your mistakes and to have the autonomy, but also to take the fear away from making mistakes, because it's there's no point saying we're not going to make mistakes. They do happen. So I think that blame culture, it's really important to get that out of the business. And I think, you know, going back to what you were saying, it's the culture piece and bringing that in right from the beginning is incredibly important. How do you find blame around the company? Do you think that's something that you've worked to really stamp out?
Absolutely. I mean, the idea. What we teach is it's a system that makes a problem, not the person. You know, a person doesn't come in deliberately to mess something up. They come in to do the best they possibly can within the systems that we provide them. So if there is a system that allows them to make a problem, then we've got to change the system. You know, it's so that's, I mean, the best example, I mean, a good example for us is part of our continuous improvement was that, or innovation, this was more than anything, is we used to have continuous improvement. We used to have, we've got this bending tool that's a CNC machine. So once the data's in it, it can't go wrong. It will measure it how exactly manufacturer exactly how the measurements go in. But we were rekeying from customers' measurements. So we're checking customers' measurements, then rekeying them into our machine. Now, that was a system where it allowed the person rekeying it to make a mistake. So we then eliminated that process, connected the two programs together, so it went straight from checking into the machine. So there's an example. When that man made a mistake and rekeyed it wrong, it's not his fault. We had a system that allowed him to do that. So we eliminated that part of the system, and lo and behold, that mistake's never made again. So it's
incredible. And that utilization of technology, presumably are you keeping an eye on all the latest technology that can help you solve some of these problems? I mean, we've got the introduction of artificial intelligence, which is already out there, and it blows my mind. But can you give some? And that was one example. But are you using that type of technology and innovation anywhere else within the business to reduce those mistakes?
Absolutely. It's a lovely process. I mean, innovation in itself is fantastic. I mean, and it's different to continuous improvement, of course. Continuous improvement are those small daily steps that improve. So in a linear line, it's a very slow slope, where of course Moore's law and technology is astronomically shooting up. And I think innovation is what allows us to try and keep pace with that. It's those step changes that then gradually, and things like AI and the stuff we're keeping an eye on now is more innovation. So I mean, our idea really is to take from start to finish. So you have customers' measurements or someone professional measuring one of the beautiful origin doors that has been, or windows that have been put into place, and then coming to us. Now we've got the checking process in place. So we check those measurements, we know they're correct. We've got the automation of the manufacturing sort of part of it that's in place. There's assembly is still done by human hand, so there's chances for sort of some sort of automation there. But I think eliminating the customer's problem is the most important thing. And the problem is, the question we always used to get asked was, what happens if I measure this wrong? To which we responded, we check it, it's our fault. So even if you measure it wrong, it's our fault, because we've got the ability to check it. So if we haven't checked it and said to you, this is wrong, and actually pinpointed where it's wrong, then our fault. So it's eliminating that customer thing. And I think the future for us will definitely be something on that side, a bit of technology, AI. I don't know what it is, who knows what it's going to be, but it will be eliminating the customer's problem of measuring the bay window at the very start of the process to eliminate that fear entirely. But I think that's where AI can help us. And
I don't know about you, but there's so many solutions out there that actually often asking the right questions is the hard bit, not necessarily, I think there's a solution to all sorts of things, but it can get quite, it's a real sort of sea of opportunity out there, but it's difficult to wade through it and find exactly what it is you need and that will actually help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why it's important to sort of focus on your growth and be part of a community that can actually sort of give you information, support, because there's no way one person can sort of keep on to this
Absolutely.
stuff.
And on that subject, Kris, you're obviously part of the Buckinghamshire Business First community, and I know that you were part of the 2019 finalist and winner of the SME award in 2020, which is fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about how Buckingham Business First and your relationship with them has helped your business, and how you've worked with BBF over the years to grow, and some of the things you've done with them that could maybe help others out there who are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've been part of their growth program. We've received grants and all these sorts of things. But I think probably the one thing that's gone on for a few years for me now, and I think it's probably the most important one, is the MD masterminding group that they offer, which is MD Engaged. Which I think, if anyone, I think I first heard about MD masterminding in the book 7 Habits. I think it was of effective people. I think that's where I first heard of it. I thought, well, that sounds interesting. A group of MDs getting together, 10 or 12 MDs, discussing their issues and challenges, and having 10 minds or 12 minds instead of just one to solve a problem. I thought that sounds interesting. And when the opportunity arose, I sort of got on board. And I must say, it's probably been one of the single most influential and effective growth drivers for our business. It's been really good. I mean, the morning sessions are normally taken up by a speaker, so there's a growth and learning element to it, which has armed me with so much information and things that we've done within our business. That alone is worth the time.
Can you give any examples of things you've discussed there that you've gone off and
Well, I mean, the most recent thing, for example, is we've just been on a retreat for 2 days. So
no wonder you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not fun as well. That would be a lie, definitely. It's fun as well, but it's a lot of fun. But the sort of the focus was growth and team and people. And the idea of a people plan had never occurred to me. We have sections of it, and people are at the heart of our business. People before profits. People before profits, as far as we're concerned, 100%. So having a whole 2 days to be able to think about it, and I never thought of having a people plan, and this concept I never met this concept. This concept never occurred to me. I went, oh my word, that's exactly what we need. We need to get so our people know, we know what our people want, what our people need, where they're going, where their growth opportunities are, sort of assign their goals to them as well. And so there we go. I've come away with that, and that's incredible. Just one. Yeah, that's just one sort of section. There's been sort of business planning strategy days. So we ways of doing it, systems of doing it, etc. So lots of too many work. Innovation. We've had continuous improvement lectures. We've had innovation discussions. So it's really good. And then you've got the challenges on the afternoon, of course, as well.
Yes, no, it sounds absolutely fantastic, and something that many people could certainly benefit from. And I think, depending on the environment you're working in and who you've got supporting you within the business, it can be difficult to kind of switch off from the day to day and move yourself into what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for my business, for this business? And that's, to take yourself completely out of what you do day to day is probably a really important thing for you, I would expect. Yeah. Just to give you that headspace, which is so important.
Yeah.
With that, I'm fascinated by that group. I think it's a brilliant thing to do. And the people plan that you talked about there, presumably that was something you could integrate into your kind of culture of the continuous improvement piece as well, in terms of working on those goals and disciplines that you want. Was that something that you sort of, I don't know, integrated together with your current culture? Did that blend quite well?
Well, to be honest, I'm still in the process of doing it, so it's really, really early at the stage for me. But it is absolutely, it's taking that continuous improvement. One of our core values is we grow and develop our people, basically. And I've sometimes struggled to say, what does that look like? We have weekly morning meetings where we teach the 8 wastes, so people are keeping up to date with the lean sort of side of things. We have a growth section in there where we share some learnings. Could be anything that normally on team building and sort of creating a high performance team or something like that. But individually, that's like as a group. But individually, I've often struggled with how can I encourage the people within my teams to see that the opportunities are out there for them, and not be locked in like we are, like you mentioned. Stepping out of the business for a day gives you such great time to think and a clarity. Things come to you, you go, oh my God, why have I not been doing this? Because you're so into it. The same for all our team. They're so focused on getting that day stuff out that they working on themselves comes secondary. And I think where the people plan's leading me is getting a better scope of here's where we are now, here's where we want to be, here are the people, and what do the people need specifically to grow to there. So it works very nicely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Kris, just Buckinghamshire is an entrepreneurial. Gosh, I can't even.
That's easy for you to say.
Entrepreneurial hub for the UK. We've got lots of entrepreneurs here, lots of small businesses, lots of micro businesses. Manufacturing is a key industry in this county too. But for you, in terms of working as a family business, the challenges and opportunities, I think it's always a really interesting subject. I'm in a family business, albeit we've got nearly 400 people here now, but the core of it is family. And actually for us, I think it's 70% of our business, one person is related to another person within Origin, which I find fascinating. Well, but I know you guys are in that family business area too. How do you find the challenges of working within that, and what opportunities are there of working with family and in that sort of close-knit community?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it's really interesting. I think one day I will write a book on this. I'm sure I will. Because I think I've met so many people that are part of family businesses, and they are so different. We, for example, are different because you'll work with your cousin, where mine is more of a succession father to son business, which takes on a different dynamic. The opportunities, I think, is there's definitely a shared goal. It's we work very hard to get a whole team involved in the shared goal of the business and organization. But when you're going in, whether it be a cousin, a brother, or a father, straight away you're on the same page. Literally from day one, it's like, yes, this is what we want to do. Whether it's been created like together, this is a good idea, why don't we do this? Or whether it's a succession, whereas you've gone, actually, Dad, that sounds great, I'll come and help you with that. It's you straight away, you're on that page. So that's definitely a sort of one of the opportunities and benefits of it. The other thing I thought as well is split responsibilities. You can, I remember a time in our business life, relatively early on, I think, in my sort of business life, where we had no one in the factory manufacturing and assembling goods. We were very small at that time. We only had 2 people, and both left to focus on other opportunities at the same time. So I shifted to that manufacturing floor, and it was very, it's that ability to say, this is your responsibility. Now, this is your responsibility, and have trust to go, yep, there you go, over to you. So I think that's another thing that I think is a good chat. What do you find? As because obviously you're slightly different. You work with your cousin, of course. So I
work with my cousin, but actually, we were very fortunate that our fathers actually guaranteed the loan for us when we started the business. So don't you worry, they're there still. So I completely get the sort of parent-child relationship in all of this as well. But we're very fortunate to have my father and my uncle, who are both directors of Origin, and it would be crazy for us not to draw on their experience, life experience, business experience. We're fortunate, it sounds very similar to you, that we get on and we have very similar values. We don't always agree on everything, but I think if your core values are very much the same, we can always find a compromise when needed. But I think there's lots of benefits. I think that trust element that you talked about right at the beginning of this, Kris, is something that almost you take for granted within family. We all trust each other. Whatever decision we make, even if it's not necessarily the one that I would make or Neil would make, but we trust that the intention is always correct and that everyone's doing it for the right reasons. So it's nice to hear that you've had a good experience with that family piece, and hopefully encourage others to do the same.
Yeah, very much so. Great. Very much so. And you're right, the wisdom is such, it shouldn't be underestimated. On the shoulders of giants do we stand. It's absolutely the lessons that I haven't had to learn the hard way because someone had done it before. Is very handy.
Definitely. Kris, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Have you got any final words that you'd like to say before we finish up? Anything that you would like to say to others out there who are thinking of being part of BBF or getting a little bit more involved?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to being part of BBF, I think I actually live in St Albans, and Hertfordshire does not have a BBF, and it's something that my friends and my fellow MDs in my local area, when I talk about it, they go, why do we not have something like this, where a central place where we can go and get such a wealth of knowledge, information, and support, all in one place. And that's not to be underestimated. It's out there, but you've got to go a million different places to get it. So, I think we are very privileged to have businesses in Buckinghamshire that have such a great organisation. So yeah, that would be what I would say.
It's lovely. Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, and thank you so much for taking the time to come and do this podcast today. And I'd love to see you down at Origin again. If it's been a while, we'll have to organise that.
You should come and see our little factory.
I'd love to
speak to the people.
Love to come and see you. We'll get that organised. That would be fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you.
Great.
All
Thanks,
right.
Victoria.
Thank you, Kris. Thank you.
Pleasure to speak to you. Bye bye.